What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to brand new Warzone 2 video. Today we're going to be jumping into the top 5 lowest recoil loadouts you guys can use. As we're all pretty aware, in comparison to Warzone 1, Warzone 2 or the Modern Warfare 2 guns have a lot more recoil in general. So I've gone ahead and crafted some very good builds for you guys. They're going to very much so be absolute laser beams. If you guys haven't enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe with notifications turned on, and let's hop into this. All right, for the first gun we're taking a look at here today is going to be the RAAL LMG. This thing is actually a very, very low recoil gun. I think you guys are going to get a lot of use out of. I'll show you guys here real fast that, I mean, this build, super easy to be able to use. You just got to pull down the stick ever so slightly and, I mean, you're good to go. All right, the first attachment on this bad boy is going to be the Shred CP90. This can help us out with that vertical recoil control and horizontal recoil control. This is a really great sort of compensator style attachment instead of running like a standard suppressor. This is going to work out very, very nicely for a lot of you guys out there. Not running a silencer is not that big of a deal in Warzone. It seems like in Warzone 2, as opposed to Warzone 1, a lot of people pretty much exclusively ran silencers. But let's actually hop into the tune here because we're tuning pretty much all these attachments. So we have the recoil stabilization maxed out and of course the gun kit control maxed out. So definitely use this. Next up, we have the 21EXF Rhino barrel. This is going to give us an increase in recoil control and bullet velocity. It's going to be a pretty solid barrel to be able to run. And as you guys can see by, of course, the firing range footage, it was very easy to be able to control. So the tune for this thing here is actually going to be maxed out for recoil steadiness and, of course, damage range to make this thing super effective at those medium to longer-ish ranges, as you're not going to be using this thing at close range. Next up, we have the SA side grip here for the underbarrel. This is going to give us that increase in aiming idle stability, aim walking steadiness, recoil steadiness, and recoil stabilization. Overall, a really great grip to be able to run on this thing, and I've ran this even in multiplayer a little bit, but overall, this is just something that I personally really enjoy running here in Warzone 2. The tune on this is going to be maxed out for recoil stabilization and aim walking speed. Just got to be able to make sure that when we're aiming down sights or we're just aim walking, that we have a little bit more of that speed, because this thing is otherwise kind of a bit of a slower gun because it is indeed an LMG. In the rear grip section, we have the Stip-40 grip. This is going to give us that increase in recoil control. Definitely got to like this thing here. I mean, the max we can do for recoil control, more or less like the better. The tune on this is going to be that recoil steadiness maxed out and, of course, maxing out the aiming idle stability. Just got to be able to, throw all those things up to the very top, because that's what it does the best for recoil control purposes. And last but definitely not least, here in the optic section, we have the SZ SRO-7 optic. It says it's a precise optic with a tight sight picture and no frills design. This is more or less kind of like a hybrid, almost like a 2 to 3 times sort of scope. I mean, it's not going to have that much of a magnification zoom, but you guys are going to be able to do a lot of work with this thing, and it's very, very easy to be able to use. The tune on this is going to be maxed out for ADS speed, though, just to kind of help us out a little bit, since we don't really need more flinch resistance, and we're putting it all the way there for far, so we at least have a bit of a, more accuracy there when we're, shooting at those longer ranges. This is my full build here overall for the RAAL LMG. Definitely check this thing out. Super low recoil and very easy to use. All right, next up, fellas, what we're going to do is we're going to be taking a look here at the Lachmann 5.56. This is a really, really great assault rifle that I think a lot of people use. It's super hard meta right now, but I'll show you this, and I mean, look at that, dude. Like, I'm talking, you're going to be beating people across the map with this thing. This thing is incredible right here. So, of course, you just got to pull down a little bit on the stick, and that's like with most guns, but let's get into the build. First thing on here in the muzzle category is going to be the Socken Tread-40. This is a heavy compensator. This can help us out that vertical and horizontal recoil control. Really great attachment. On the tune, we're maxing this out for recoil stabilization and then gun kit control, kind of much like we did for the RAAL LMG. Definitely want to, throw those sliders all the way to the opposite sides. Now in the barrel section, we got the 15.9 Lachmann RAP barrel, or the RAPP barrel. This is going to give us that increase in bullet velocity, damage range, recoil control, and hip fire accuracy. I mean, this is probably the best barrel you guys could possibly run on this thing, realistically speaking. Kind of anyways, regardless if you're going for like a recoil control build or not. The tune on this is going to be recoil steadiness and damage range all the way to both sides. Now for the underbarrel section, we got the VX Pineapple, a tried and true classic foregrip we seem to be running on a lot of our guns here in Warzone 2. Of course, this is going to help us out that recoil steadiness. And if you kind of get caught in some awkward situations in close range, it can potentially help you out a little bit there, because it's going to give us a little bit of that hip fire accuracy, which is definitely not a bad thing. We're maxing this out here for hip recoil control, though, also, and for aim down sight speed, as we don't really care as much about the hip fire accuracy and hip walking speed. Those really aren't that important. In the magazine section up here next, we are running the 60 round mag. As you guys know, I'm a 60 round mag kind of guy, so I just like running the 60 here kind of as is. But overall, 60 is definitely good to have, just because, I mean, you've got to be able to put a lot of rounds down range, and sometimes it feels like the TTK is super fast. Other times it feels like you hit people for like infinite amount of plates. It's kind of ridiculous. Last but not least, here in the optics section, we're using the SZ-SRO-7 optic once again. Overall, a great optic here that you guys could be able to use in Warzone 2. And then the tune on this thing is maxed out for aim down sight speed and the negative 2.25 for far, so we can see a little bit better, get some better accuracy at those longer distances. This is my full build here for the Lachmann 556. Try it out. This should be a really great one. All right, fellas, next up, we're taking a look here at the Vaznev 9K. This is a really good SMG to be able to run as, like, you know, secondary, maybe a tad bit of like sniper support. But overall, let's actually show you guys how this functions here in the firing range. I mean, look at that. Very easy. Super easy to be able to use that medium range. Of course, you're not really going to be using this thing at long range, as that's not its like specialty. You're trying to go for those closer to medium ranges. Minimal recoil control, pulling down on the stick ever so slightly, but overall really good. First thing in the muzzle is going to be the Lacerta compensator. This is going to help us out with that horizontal recoil control. We don't really need too much here out of our compensator, out of our muzzle, just because this gun doesn't have that much recoil to begin with. We're just trying to stabilize it out. So now the tune on this thing is going to be for that recoil stabilization and gun kit control. You guys can be able to see the sliders on screen. I ain't got to explain too much on that. Next up in the barrel, we got the SA Response 3. Very good barrel. It's the heaviest barrel for this gun, aka it's going to help us out with the recoil control, bullet velocity, damage range, all that stuff you get from running a heavier barrel on pretty much all of your guns. The tune on this is going to be for recoil steadiness and damage range. We're not as concerned with the ADS speed, as we're really trying to make this thing super incredibly low recoil. Of course, you have to have a magazine on this thing. We're just throwing on the 45 round mag. I mean, it kind of catches you with your pants down if you are trying to reload in close quarters. I mean, imagine you try to reload cancel, which, you know, you can't reload cancel in this game. I don't know why they did that, but you definitely want to get caught with your pants down, you know, mid reload. So having extra rounds in your magazine is to be hugely beneficial. There's also no tune for this. Now in the rear grip section, we got the Demo X2 grip for that increase in recoil control. Just got to make sure we stabilize this thing out as much as possible. And then the tune on this is going to be for ADS speed and sprint to fire speed, just to kind of speed this thing up, as it is used for close quarters and not like long distance. And last but not least, if you guys don't want to use like iron sights or something like that, this is a really great addition here, the Cronin Mini Pro. This is the blue dot you get for leveling up the Expedite shotgun to level 7. I believe it's either 7 or 12. You have to go use that. So if you guys are looking for that blue dot and trying to figure out where to get it, you have to go level up that shotgun. But overall, the Cronin Mini Pro is definitely the best red dot sight to use, or technically blue dot sight to use in this game. The tune on this is going to be for ADS speed and then also for that far distance, just to give us a little bit more accuracy. But this is my full build here for the Vaznev 9K. Try it out. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. It's really solid in my opinion. Now, next up, we're going to be taking a look at a fan favorite AR right now here in Modern Warfare 2/Warzone 2, the TAC 56. A lot of people love this thing for good reason. It is a very easy to use AR, super early unlock, and it's incredibly meta in Warzone right now. So let's show you guys this. Low recoil, easy to be able to use. I mean, you got to control it just a little bit like with any gun, but I mean, you really can't go wrong with this. TTK is great on it as well. All right, the first attachment here is going to be the Socken Tread-40 muzzle. This is going to help us out with that vertical and horizontal recoil control. I ain't got to explain this one too much. The tune on this thing is going to be for recoil stabilization and gun kit control. Just got to max out our accuracy and our recoil control sort of properties on this thing. After that, in the underbarrel section, we're once again running the VX Pineapple, a really solid grip. Kind of reminds me of the Merc 4 grip here, just because, I mean, they look so similar. We didn't really ever run the Merc 4 grip or anything else like that on our ARs in Warzone 1, but in Warzone 2, this is kind of what we're doing. So the tune on this thing here is going to be just pretty much left to the center there on the left side, and then in the bottom, we maxed it out for aim down sight speed. Now in the barrel section, we're on the 17.5 Tundra Pro barrel. This is going to give us damage range, hip fire accuracy, and bullet velocity. Pretty much one of the only two barrels you guys can run on this thing, and of course, this one's not really going to help you out with recoil control in any capacity. So definitely want to make sure that we're using a barrel that's going to be like good for those longer-ish ranges. This is going to give us at least that damage range and hip fire accuracy and bullet velocity. Not as much that recoil control, but I mean, you definitely need this to be as effective you can be at medium to longer ranges. And of course, we got to have a magazine on this thing. We're going for that 60-round mag. I'm a 60-round mag kind of guy. Just having 60 is way better than having 40 as your primary AR down on like 2, 3, 4 people at a time. Is definitely something you need to be able to do. And then the optics section here, this is kind of a little bit more personal preference if you guys want to run maybe the SZ-SRO-7. As you guys have been seeing, it worked out really nicely. Or you can even try something a little bit farther down the line, like the VLK 4x optic or the Schlager 3.4. These are my other two optics I frequently switch between the two of. So definitely try either of these out if you do not happen to like the SZ-SRO-7 optic. I don't know why I got some of these things got crazy names, but that is what it is. Anyways, this is my full build here for the TAC 56. Try this out. This is the frontal impact variant I got from playing the beta. Now let's move on to our next gun. Well, technically it's our final gun here in the top 5, but we're looking at the Minibak. This is going to be another great close quarter option with incredibly minimal recoil. So let's actually try this thing out here and go show you guys what it looks like. So there's that. I mean, it's super easy. Very, very minimal. Much like the VASM 9K, we're not even really going to attempt a long range. That's just kind of really incredibly hard to hit, and we're not ever using it for that. But close to medium range, very, very easy to use. First thing in here is going to be the Lacerta compensator here, horizontal recoil control. Much like the VASM 9K, this thing doesn't have too much kind of to begin with, so we're just trying to stabilize it out a little bit. The tune is going to be maxed out for recoil stabilization and gun kit control. Next up, we happen to have the barrel. That's going to be the Back-9 279mm barrel. Pretty much the only one we have access to in here, but this gives us damage range, hipfire accuracy, and bullet velocity. Messes with our ADS speed and our hip recoil control, but we're not really too concerned with that. But as far as the tune goes, we're going to max this out for recoil steadiness and damage range, as this is going to be pretty much the best thing out there. In the optics section, we're once again using the Cronin Mini Pro, the blue/red dot. Like I said, this is probably the best optic you guys can use in the game for pretty much any of your closer quarters guns. If you're trying to actually throw an optic on them. The tune on this is going to be there for ADS speed and that far sort of positioning, just to give us a little bit more accuracy, but that's really about it. In the stock section, we got the FT TAC-Elite stock. This is just going to be straight up for recoil control purposes, not necessarily for speed. But overall, the tune is going to be for ADS speed and aiming idle stability. We're not as concerned with the aim walking speed, but we just definitely want to make sure this gun is as stable as possible. And then lastly, the attachment that's final on this gun is going to be the Demo X2 grip, just to give us more recoil control. And of course, the tune on this is going to be for ADS speed and sprint to fire speed. This is my full build here for the Minibak. Definitely give this one a try. Thank you guys so much for coming through. If you guys happen to have enjoyed today's video, want to see more like this, be sure to give it a like, subscribe with notifications turned on, and I'll see you guys all later. Just run out, cat, don't be Randy, and I'm out. Peace.